The House will come to order. Conference Committee reports on House files.
Conference Committee report on House File number 3763, an act relating to economic development. The report is addressed to the Honorable Kurt L. Doudt, Speaker of the House, the Honorable Michelle L. Fischbach, President of the Senate. We, the undersigned conferees for House File number 3763, report that we've agreed upon the items in dispute and recommend as follows. The report is signed by 2 of the 3 conferees on behalf of the House and 3 of the 3 conferees on the part of the Senate. Layman moves that the report of the Conference Committee on House File number 3763 be adopted and that the bill be repassed as amended by the Conference Committee.
I recognize the member from Itasca, Representative Layman, to introduce the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Layman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This was a small bill. You might remember hearing the bill about the DJJ Trust Fund. It was just a simple measure to ensure that we protect the fund from any other use than what was stated in statutes. When the bill came back from the Senate, there was some additional measures added in the bill, and these were provisions that actually had already been heard in the Jobs Committee and passed out of the Jobs Committee in the House, with the exception of one minor change, which we came to agreement on rather quickly. So there's no fiscal impact to the general fund with this bill. I would just like to note, if you look at the conference report, that Representative Metsa did approve the conference report. We had a minor glitch. He did not have an opportunity to sign, but I just want it entered into the record that Representative Metsa also concurs with the conference report, Mr. Speaker. That's my report.
Is there any discussion on the Conference Committee report? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion to adopt the Conference Committee report signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion prevails. The clerk will give the bill its 3rd reading as amended by conference.
3rd reading, House File number 3763, as amended by conference.
3rd reading as amended by conference. Any further discussion? Representative Layman.
Mr. Speaker, I would just urge a green vote. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll on the bill. The clerk will close the roll. There being 118 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is repassed as amended by conference and its title agreed to. Messages from the Senate.
Message from the Senate. Mr. Speaker, I hereby announce the passage by the Senate of the following House file, herewith returned as amended by the Senate, in which amendments to concurrence of the House is respectfully requested. House File number 3972, an act relating to liquor. Message assigned Cal R. Ludeman, Secretary of the Senate. Nash moves that the House refuse to concur in the Senate amendments to House File number 3972, that the Speaker appoint a conference committee of 3 members of the House, and that the House requests that a like committee be appointed by the Senate to confer on the disagreeing votes of the 2 houses.
Recognize the member from Carver, Representative Nash, to your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That is my motion.
Discussion on the Nash motion to refuse to concur on House File 3972. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion prevails. Messages from the Senate.
Message from the Senate. Mr. Speaker, I hereby announce the Senate has concurred in and adopted the report of the Conference Committee on Senate File Number 2578, an act relating to public safety. Senate has repassed said bill in accordance with the recommendations and report of the Conference Committee. The message is signed Cal R. Ludeman, Secretary of the Senate. Conference Committee report on Senate File 2578. The report is addressed to the Honorable Michelle L. Fischbach, President of the Senate, the Honorable Kurt L. Doudt, Speaker of the House. We, the undersigned conferees on Senate File Number 2578, report that we have agreed upon the items in dispute and recommend as follows. The Conference Committee report is signed by 2 of the 3 members on behalf of the Senate and all 3 members on behalf of the House. Franke moves that the report of the Conference Committee on Senate File Number 2578 be adopted and that the bill be repassed as amended by the Conference Committee.
Recognize the bill author, the member from Washington, Representative Franke, who will explain the Senate amendments. Explain the Conference Committee report. Representative Franke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, Senate File 2578 is the infamous kratom bill and DWI bill. We agreed to take the House language and the title of the bill. We removed 2 amendments that the Senate had added on the floor and made a compromise on the word knowingly and added some language to the definition of knowingly. And I will yield right now to Representative Anna Wills to explain the amendments that were taken out, and then we will stand.
She will yield. Representative Wills.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So there was a disagreement between the House and Senate on the word knowingly throughout the bill. Our bill in the House struck the word knowingly throughout the bill. And then in the Senate language, they had left the word knowingly in. And we were able to come to a compromise. And I reached out to all of the stakeholders, the DWI task force, the county attorneys, and everyone is in support of the compromise language that truly meets in the middle by still striking the word knowingly, but adding the language, and the person knows or has reason to know that the substance has the capacity to cause impairment. So that was the amendment that we accepted from the Senate, and that concludes the changes to the Conference Committee report, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Representative Franke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, so those are the changes. It was a good compromise. I appreciate your support.
Any discussion on the Conference Committee report? The member from Hennepin, Representative Hillstrom.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. As the DFL member on the Conference Committee, members, I did in fact sign this Conference Committee report. Members, this deals with intoxicating substances for DWI, not the substances that is just alcohol. We had a problem in our law with huffing. If you huffed a substance that made you intoxicated, we had a couple of substances that in fact Minnesota would not have been able to prosecute. We've now changed the way we deal with the listing of those controlled substances. Instead of referencing worker substances that are in the employment section of law, we actually created a section in the criminal section of law. We referenced those sections appropriately. We negotiated based on whether or not the person knows or has reason to know that the substance has the capacity to impair them. That gets to if you're working in an area in close proximity to the substance, but you are not actually huffing it in order for the purpose of becoming intoxicated. We wanted to make sure we took care of that. Members, Senator Latz did not sign the Conference Committee report. 2 of the amendments that were not adopted by this Conference Committee were Senator Latz's amendments. One was forfeiture, and changing the forfeiture law related to DWI. The other was an elimination of retaking the written test once you have lost your license. So those are the 2 provisions that were left on the cutting room floor. I encourage a green vote.
The member from Olmsted, Representative Liebling.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wonder if Representative Franke would yield to a question.
He will yield. Representative Liebling.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, Representative Franke, one of the questions I wanted to ask was about why Senator Latz didn't sign. I got an answer to that. But the other question I had for you, I'm sure you recall that I was quite unhappy that this never got a hearing in a health committee in the House. Did it get a hearing in a Senate Health Committee, to your knowledge, on the kratom part of the bill?
Representative Franke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative, that I am unaware of.
Representative Liebling.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And, you know, once again, I just find this extremely troubling. It may be that the bill is just fine. I don't have any real quibble with the DUI part of the bill, but I just don't know how we are going around, how we in this body, in this legislature, are making substances illegal and imposing criminal penalties for either selling them or possessing them without ever having a hearing in a health committee. That just doesn't seem right to me. That is just not fair to our citizens. And we can look it up all we want on the internet, but it's not the same as actually having a public hearing in a Health and Human Services Committee to at least let citizens talk about what they know about the impact, to have experts talk about what they know about the impact. This is just really disappointing, and I sure hope this is not the way this legislature is going to go.
The member from Isanti, Representative Johnson B.
Mr. Speaker, members, the pharmacy bill has always come to the House every year. And every year that bill goes through the Public Safety Committee and just the Public Safety Committee. This is the normal process that this bill has always gone through.
Further discussion. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion to adopt the Conference Committee report on Senate File 2578 signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion prevails. The clerk will give the bill its third reading as amended by conference.
Senate File number 2578, third reading as amended by conference.
Third reading as amended by conference. Any further discussion? The member from Washington, Representative Franke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I would just like to add that I appreciate the work and knowledge of the Board of Pharmacy and everything that they do to make sure that they do their due diligence to bring substances and certain items like this forward to us and use their vast knowledge in this area to help us make our decisions. And with that, I appreciate your support and a green vote. Thank you.
The member from Dakota, Representative Wills.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And this is an unusual circumstance where we're both chief authors because it's two bills put together. So thank you, members, for your support for this legislation going off the House floor previously, and we ask for your support again today. The changes that we're making to the DWI law are going to make a huge difference in being able to properly prosecute individuals who are huffing these products, these dust-off products, and creating a danger on our roads. And we want to warn the public that these products are very dangerous and to avoid using them because people die. And we want to make that very clear message today, and that if you break the law in this area, now we have the ability to bring justice. So thank you for all of the work that has gone into this. I appreciate the staff and the DWI task force and all of the work that they have done along the way. So thank you, members, and I ask for your green vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll on the bill. The clerk will close the roll. There being 116 ayes and 5 nays, the bill is repassed as amended by conference and its title agreed to. Messages from the Senate.
Message from the Senate. Mr. Speaker, I hereby announce the Senate has concurred in and adopted the report of the Conference Committee on Senate File Number 2809, an act relating to the Metropolitan Council. The Senate has repassed said bill in accordance with the recommendations report of the Conference Committee. Message is signed Cal R. Ludeman, Secretary of the Senate. Conference Committee report on Senate File Number 2809, an act relating to the Metropolitan Council. The report is addressed to the Honorable Michelle L. Fischbach, President of the Senate, the Honorable Kurt L. Doudt, Speaker of the House. We, the undersigned conferees for Senate File Number 2809, report that we've agreed upon the items in dispute and recommend as follows. The Conference Committee report is signed by all 3 conferees on the part of the Senate and all 3 conferees on the part of the House. Albright moves that the report of the Conference Committee on Senate File Number 2809 be adopted and that the bill be repassed as amended by the Conference Committee.
Recognize the member from Scott, Representative Albright, to explain the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. The conferees met briefly yesterday, covered the technical aspects that were kind of outstanding on both the Senate bill and the House bill. We did come to agreement on the adoption of the chair being appointed by the Senate, or by the governor, as well as providing a per diem for the members other than the chair of the committee. The other changes were very technical in nature, and I would urge a green vote to the adoption of the conference report.
Any discussion on the Conference Committee report? The member from Hennepin, Representative Joachim.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Conference Committee report that's before us is not really improved since it left the floor. It's still a mashup of ideas that don't fit together, and it still tips proportional representation on its head. It still puts current local elected officials on a regional board, creating conflicts of interest, and it actually has the effect of having the regulated being the regulators. Elected officials across our region have loudly said that they do not want this. What we should be doing is making sure that we're figuring out the best way to provide wastewater, transit, parks, and planning in the area of our state that has the greatest population. This bill does not do that. It creates more harm than good. It rips apart the one regional planning body we do have and leaves us with a hybrid that won't function. If you voted no on this before, please join me in voting no again. It hasn't gotten much better. Thanks.
The member from Dakota, Representative Halverson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I also rise to urge a no vote on adoption of the Conference Committee report. We discussed at length when this bill came before us and when it was before us in committee the fact that the elected officials of our cities do not want to see this bill passed. The elected officials in our city want to work with us on an alternative Met Council reform proposal, and their voices are not being heard. And so I urge members to vote no and vote in favor of our local governments who are asking us to go back to the drawing board with a new Met Council proposal that can reach bipartisan agreement and that can actually move us forward for planning for the 21st century regionally. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the Conference Committee report? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion to adopt the Conference Committee report on Senate File 2809 signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No. The motion prevails. The clerk will give the bill its third reading as amended by conference.
Third reading, Senate File Number 2809, as amended by conference.
Third reading as amended by conference. Any further discussion? The member from Scott, Representative Albright.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Urge your support.
Thank you, Representative Albright. No further discussion. The clerk will take the roll on the bill. Clerk will close the roll. There being 72 ayes and 48 nays, the bill is repassed as amended by conference and its title agreed to. Announcements by the Speaker.
Announcement by the Speaker. The Speaker announces the appointment of the following members of the House to a conference committee on House File number 3972. Nash, Lunan, and Loeffler. Just one, right?
Motions and resolutions. There are copies of the non-controversial motions at the House desk and online. If there's no objection, we'll take action on these motions first. Hearing no objection, the motions prevail. There is a motion at the desk. The clerk will report the motion.
O'Neill moves that Senate File number 2565 be recalled from the Committee on Jobs, Growth, and Energy Affordability Policy and Finance, together with House File number 4254, now on the General Register, be referred to the Chief Clerk for comparison.
Recognize the member from Wright, Representative O'Neill, to your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That is my motion. This is the Unemployment Insurance Advisory Council bill. Thank you.
Any discussion on the O'Neill motion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the O'Neill motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion prevails. Announcements. Recognize the member from Sherburne, Representative Zerwas. For what purpose do you rise?
Mr. Speaker, point of personal privilege.
State your point of personal privilege.
Mr. Speaker, members, I have a House resolution proclaiming May 2018 as Cystic Fibrosis Awareness Month, whereas cystic fibrosis is a genetic disease affecting approximately 70,000 children and adults worldwide, and nearly 30,000 children and adults in the United States, and 600 of whom who live in Minnesota. And whereas a defective gene causes the body to produce abnormally thick, sticky mucus that clogs the lungs, and these secretions produce life-threatening lung infections and obstruct the pancreas, preventing digestive enzymes from reaching the intestines to help break down and absorb food. And whereas the number of adults with CF has steadily grown, and approximately 1,000 new cases of CF are diagnosed each year, and whereas nearly 50% of the CF population is 18 years of age and older, and people with CF have a variety of symptoms attributed to the more than 1,800 mutations of the cystic fibrosis gene, and whereas all newborns born in the United States are automatically screened for CF at birth, and whereas early diagnosis of CF allows for early treatment and enhances quality of life and longevity, and the treatment of CF depends on the stage of the disease and the organs involved. Mr. Speaker, I would yield to Representative Lucero for the end.
Representative Lucero.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Whereas clearing mucus from the lungs is an important part of the daily CF treatment regimen, and other types of treatments include inhaled antibiotics and pancreatic enzymes, among others, and whereas there are 3 Cystic Fibrosis Foundation accredited treatment centers in Minnesota which specialize in the diagnosis of CF and the care of persons with CF. A critical component of treating patients with CF includes access to innovative treatments which can play a crucial role in the lives of patients with this disease. And whereas improving the length and quality of life for people with CF starts with awareness, and whereas it is important to honor people like our friend and my constituent, Dylan Mertz, who fights cystic fibrosis every day, now therefore be it resolved by the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration of the House of Representatives of the State of Minnesota that it proclaims May 2018 as Cystic Fibrosis Awareness Month, signed by Speaker Doubt, Joyce Pepin, Chair of the Rules and Legislative Administration, myself, and Representative Zerwas.
Any further announcements? Representative Davnie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, would Representative Bennett yield to a question?
Shh. We're under announcements, Representative Davnie. Is this an announcement?
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to make the body aware of things that I just learned of today. When we passed
You rose under announcements? Is this an announcement?
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to announce that the Republican majority has agreed to significantly cut safe schools funding between what left the floor and what has been agreed to by the GOP majority of both bodies in the conference committee. I'd like to make the body aware that I want kids to be safe next year in school. But I also want them to be safe the year after that in school. But while the conference committee agreement cuts the funding for safe schools revenue,
Representative Pepin, for what purpose do you rise?
Schools next
Mr.
year.
Speaker, what point of where are we at in the agenda? Are we on announcements?
We are on announcements,
Mr. Speaker, this is not an announcement.
I'm quite aware that this is not an announcement.
Thank you.
Representative Davnie, this body in recent days has gone far beyond the use of the customary use of personal privileges and announcements. If you'd like to debate an issue before the body, you need to make a motion or bring a bill. Debate on issues is not appropriate under announcements, and it's not appropriate under points of personal privilege. So we're not going to use this time for that. If you have an announcement, I'd be happy to allow you to make that. An announcement customarily in this body is about an upcoming meeting or something of interest that might be coming up for the body. Do you have an announcement for the body? Do you have an announcement for the body, Representative
Mr.
Davnie?
Speaker, privilege of the House. Can somebody get on Masons for me, please?
Mr. Speaker.
Representative Davnie, state your privilege of the House.
Mr. Speaker, privilege of the House includes correcting media reports that would reflect on the body. The media widely reported when the K-12 bill left this floor that it included significant revenues for safe schools efforts by our local school district. The recent agreement Tuesday in the conference committee significantly cut those revenues compared to what left the floor. There is a cut for this coming school year revenues for safe schools. But, Mr. Speaker, as I was saying, I not only want kids to be safe this year,
point of order.
I want them to be safe.
Representative Pepin, state your point of order.
Is it appropriate to talk about a bill that is currently being discussed in a bill that isn't even finished yet? Is that appropriate to discuss under a privilege of the House?
Representative Pepin, it is not. Representative Davnie, you will have an opportunity to debate the bill that you're talking about when it comes here to the House floor. That would be the appropriate time to point out that you're unhappy with numbers that are in that bill. It's my understanding that conference committee is still open and has not been finalized, so I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about on the House floor. But when that conference committee comes back here to the House floor, that would be the appropriate time to debate its content. Representative Davnie.
Mr. Speaker,
for what purpose do you rise, Representative Davnie?
Privilege of the House, Mr. Speaker.
What is your privilege of the House, Representative Davnie?
My privilege of the House relates to Section 221, subsection H of Masons. Mr. Speaker, the conference committee vote to cut safe schools funding happened on Tuesday evening. That is something that has already occurred, which is your and Representative criteria.
Representative Anderson, state your point of parliamentary inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, is a motion to adjourn in order at this moment?
Not before we do a motion to set the time to reconvene, but I would invite that.
Mr.
Representative
Speaker?
Pepin.
I move that when the House adjourns today, it adjourns until 1 p.m. Saturday, May 19th, 2018.
Representative Pepin moves when the House adjourns today, it adjourns until 1 o'clock p.m. on Saturday, May 19th, 2018. All those in favor say
Mr.
aye.
Speaker?
Those opposed, no. The motion prevails.
Go team.
Representative Hortman, for what purpose do you rise?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Parliamentary inquiry.
State your point of parliamentary inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, under what provisions of the rules is the Speaker entitled to use the mute button?
When a member is speaking over another member and has not gotten permission from the Speaker to address either the Speaker or the body.
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your point of parliamentary inquiry.
Where is that in the rules?
It's not in the rules.
Mr. Speaker, privilege of the House, will be brief. I would implore you to not use the mute button in the closing hours of the legislative session. I understand the minority can be frustrating to the majority, but Mr. Speaker, I think that you would have to acknowledge that this minority has been fairly agreeable and reasonable and has not inflicted pain on the majority just for the sole purpose of inflicting pain, and that at points in time the minority would like to articulate a point of view. That's part of our democratic system of government. And I would just encourage you that this last 2 days of the session are going to operate much more smoothly if we observe courtesy to one another than if we resort to extreme measures like a mute button.
I think that is a very fair point, Representative Hortman, and I'd also like to point out that everyone that has risen to speak on this House floor has been recognized and has been allowed the ability to speak. So, Representative Pepin.
I move that the House do now adjourn.
Representative Pepin moves that the House do now adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion prevails, and the House stands adjourned until 1 o'clock p.m. Saturday, May 19th, 2018.